What's up guys, Nate here with 4K Motoring. Today I'm going to do a brief video with my 2005 911 C2S. But first off, I'm going to get started with a cold start. It's been sitting for over 2 weeks and I'm always curious, you know, I think about that bore scoring all the time, but I'm confident my car doesn't have it. The last one I did was kind of brief, so I'm going to extend this one out a little bit longer so you can see that there's no smoke coming from the exhaust. After that, I'm going to get into 5 things I love and 5 things I hate about my 911. It's going to be a broad range of things kind of condensed into 5. But without further ado, let's get on with the cold start. Alright guys, as you can see from that, there was no smoke coming from the exhaust of the 911. We're going to continue the video with the likes of my 911. So I'm going to start off by saying probably the first thing that I love about this car is just the iconic style of the 911. As a small child, my first car poster was a 911 slant nose in red. Though I wanted a red 997, those carry more of a premium, so I went with this gray metallic, which still I think looks great. It's just always been a dream of mine to own this car, and I finally do. One of the other things I love about this car is the functionality and usability of it. So here we are, I'm at my in-laws today at the pool, and I'm here with my wife, my 4-year-old child, and my dog, and they all ride in the car with me because it does have a usable back seat. This here, the dog sits here on the blanket that I kind of spread out, and then there's the booster seat for my 4-year-old, and when he sits in there he has plenty of room, and my wife sits over there and she can still move forward if she needs to. And that booster seat does stick forward quite a bit, as you can see. So my 13-year-old can also fit back here with the booster seat removed. You can get smaller booster seats, which I am looking for one that will give my son more room, because in a year or two he probably will need more room than he has now. Also with this car, on usability, you still have quite a bit of storage space. As if you don't have any rear passengers, you can put stuff in the back seat, and you also have a pretty good sized trunk here. You can see I have some of my camera equipment and my laptop in there, but it's pretty deep. All right, number 3 on my list is going to be the easeability of maintenance. You don't have much room in here in the engine bay, but generally you don't really need to get to anything in the engine unless you're replacing a major part of some sort. See, as you can see here, I have new motor mounts. The other one is over here under the airbox. The airbox is very simple to replace. You just take off these 2 hose clamps here, this hose clamp, these 2 electrical connectors, and it pops right out. Once you get the airbox out, you have access to all the belts. Here's the alternator. I've removed that twice, replacing other things. I've replaced the main battery cable, which you can see right here is the new one. It goes from there to the starter, and then from the starter down to the transmission where there's a junction box. Here's the AC compressor. I've also had that out. I had to take that out to get the battery cable done. When you have the air box out, it's very simple to replace the filter. The filter's right here. Normally this should have a little snorkel tube up to this fitting up here. This was missing when I got the car. I have read though that this is a big restriction point for the intake, and that removing that does add horsepower with additional airflow to the intake of the car. So that is apparently a popular mod, is to remove that, so I'm not real worried that it doesn't have it. Now I do have a lift at home, so a lot of this stuff is very easy to get to. Doing an oil change on this is one of the easiest cars I've ever done. The drain plug is right there and the filter is right in front of it. I do change it on this car every 2,000 miles. I've changed it twice so far. I buy my oil on Amazon. It's only like $21 a jug, and this takes about 9 quarts. The filters, sometimes I get them on Rock Auto, sometimes I buy them on Amazon, sometimes I go and get them at Advanced Auto Parts. It depends on the timing of the oil change and whether I have ordered one or thought about ordering one or not. Alright, another thing I love about this car is the exclusivity of it. It is by no means rare, but it's not every day that you see one of these driving in your daily commute. It's much more rare than, say, like a Corvette or an M3 or an M4, and it is very everyday usable still in that sense. Parts are always readily available. They will be making these parts for years to come. There are still parts available for 911s even 30 years older than this, so I don't have any worry of ever being able to get parts for this thing. Alright, hopefully you can hear me pretty good, but the number one thing that I love about this car is the driving experience. I know a lot of people say this, but it really is unlike driving any other vehicle I've ever owned. The sound of that engine is just incredible. When you get it up to 6,000 RPMs, it just wails, and it pulls and pulls and pulls, and it never feels like it gets tired of revving. I grew up driving Hondas and Acuras. I loved my Acura Integras, and the big things with those engines was you had to wind them out to get VTEC to hit. Well, this engine's the same way. It's just twice the size as a Honda Civic engine, and it puts out twice the horsepower. And it's also connected to the rear wheels, which I just can't get over that. Great. So, and also with this design, with the engine in the rear directly attached to the transmission, you get very little drivetrain loss. I think Porsche says it's about 8%. So, whereas a typical front engine rear wheel drive vehicle is around 15 to even 25%. So you're getting a lot more usable horsepower to the rear wheels. Just everything that comes with this car adds to the whole overall driving experience. I mean, it's got a get drag transmission, Recaro seats, flat 6 engine, Bell wraps it up for